Well, folks, if you needed any more proof that the Switch 2 rumors are silly and the console is not releasing in 2024, we have an interesting interview from Mainichi, where they interviewed the Nintendo president, Shuntaro Furukawa, where he denied pretty much every recent rumor of substance. Let's talk about it. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be taking a closer look at Shuntaro Furukawa's comments on the Switch 2 rumors, specifically pertaining to Gamescom, as well as that most recent patent that I made a video about. Just going to go ahead and go into this. We also have some stuff from their investor kind of presentation they did with some interesting wording that I think I want to talk about in this video as well. I'm going to do a separate video, I think, tomorrow, talking about what I actually think might end up happening now based on their earnings, because everything is up right now. So the likelihood, in my opinion, of a Switch 2 releasing in 2024 has pretty much plummeted down to zero. I'm not saying I don't think there's a chance for new hardware to release next year, and that's what I'll talk about in tomorrow's video, but an actual successor to the Switch, I don't think there's any chance anymore. But let's go ahead and read through this article from VGC, which is funny because they actually are the ones that reported that initial rumor. We'll just go ahead and read through the entire article together. Nintendo denies briefing developers on Switch 2 and dismisses multi-screen patent. Earlier this year, both Eurogamer and VGC cited sources claiming that Nintendo had privately shown tech demos for its next console to select developers behind closed doors at Gamescom in Germany. I never made a video on this because it happened, I think, either right before I was going to PAX West or during PAX West, so I just never got around to circling back on it. When this came out, you know, I look at all rumors, like actual rumors and reports from articles like, or publications like VGC and Insiders, right? And I'll look into them and I'll do my own kind of theories on what they're saying. And I'm sorry I never made a video about this. I meant to, but I always thought this was kind of weird that they would be showing it this early. But regardless, that was the rumor, that was the reporting. They had said that they had shown the console with tech demos of like Breath of the Wild running at 4K and the Matrix demo, I believe, that the Coalition had made. I believe that's what it was, right? They had reported that was shown to select developers at Gamescom in Germany. Correspondence unsealed as part of the U.S. Federal Trade Commission's legal battle with Microsoft also suggested that Activision Blizzard had been briefed on Nintendo's next-gen console plans in late 2022. However, according to Japanese publication Mainichi, Nintendo boss Furukawa denied both of these reports during a private earnings call on Tuesday, calling them, quote, inaccurate. The president also claimed to have dismissed a recent Nintendo patent filing for a device with multiple screens, and said that the plans detailed were not necessarily for any future device. He said, quotes, "We are aware that patent information is published upon application. However, this does not necessarily mean that it will be featured in future products," end quotes. At the time of the Gamescom reports, Nintendo did not comment when approached for a response. However, it's worth noting that it has denied press reports in the past, only for them to be later proven correct, sometimes even just a day later. So I want to stop right there for a second and really dive into what it means when Shuntaro Furukawa denies a report. What this VGC article is referring to is in 2006 and in 2012. In 2006, they had denied reports that there would be a DS revision revealed, and the next day, the DS Lite was revealed. In 2012, they did a similar thing, not quite that fast, where I think it was Reggie said there would not be a revision for the 3DS, and then later that summer, the 3DS XL was revealed in 2012. So there have been times in the past when Nintendo has kind of stretched the truth, or even straight up lied, I guess, if you want to say that, about new hardware revisions coming out. However, and I tweeted about this, the circumstances are very different here. First of all, that was, in the case of the DS Lite, almost 20 years ago, and in the case of the 3DS XL, 10 years ago. Management has completely changed across the board in Japan and in America. So the safest thing to do, if you're really trying to speculate and analyze and figure out what Nintendo is doing, is to look at what the current management has done. And for as long as Furukawa has been the president of Nintendo, he has never fibbed. This man has never lied. Everything he has said has been accurate, has ended up being true. Even in 2021, when people were really adamant about a Switch Pro coming out, they had commented saying there's not going to be a Switch Pro. We're not releasing a Switch Pro this year. They said the same thing in 2022, and people didn't believe it for some reason because of these reports from 2006 and 2012. I understand that, yes, back then, they did stretch the tooth, they did lie about new hardware revisions coming out in those years, but we are in a very different time period, and it's worth noting that in those cases, those are just revisions anyway. A DS Lite or a 3DS XL, while yes, they will help sales, we're talking about Furukawa saying they're not releasing new hardware in the context of an earnings call that investors are going to be looking at and using this information to decide something massive. Him saying they're not releasing the successor to the Switch, which is their best-selling home console of all time, is just a tiny bit different than saying there's not going to be a DS Lite, and then there later being a DS Lite. And then just kind of skipping into the end of this article here from VGC, Tokyo-based industry consultant Dr. Serkan Toto told VGC in September that a 2024 console launch would make sense for Nintendo since it's projected to see double-digit declines in hardware and software sales this year for Switch, which launched in March 2017. He said, quote, "I would generally say that looking at Nintendo's financials, it seems clear that it's time for a new piece of hardware in 2024. Hardware is already projected to fall 16.5% year-on-year in the current fiscal, while the minus for software is expected to hit 15.9%. The only way to stop these losses from totally ballooning next fiscal is a new device, and the second half of 2024 sounds like a realistic window to me." Okay, so first off, let's take a look at this slide that Nintendo released. Third-party software is down over last year, but still very strong. Higher than it was in 2019, and I mean, it's pretty comparable to 2022. It is a slight decrease for third-party software, but not that drastic. Not to the point where they need to release a new console to really help out these losses. I mean, look, they're doing completely fine in third-party software. And if you take a look at first-party software, I mean, this might be its own video in of itself. I mean, this is just a comical graph showing how successful Nintendo's own first-party software has been doing on the Nintendo Switch. I mean, if you remove 2020 from this equation, it has literally just been an upward trend across the board. And of course, 2020, if you don't remember, is when Animal Crossing came out. So of course, it was inflated then when Animal Crossing came out and COVID happened. If you remove that, it has only been up, and even after that, it has still only been increased year on year. And if you look at this graph that someone by the name of Derek Strickland made on Twitter, from, of course, taking the information from their earnings call, you can see that hardware is also up this year over last year. It's crazy. While Nintendo might be expecting lower sales overall this year, but when all is said and done by March 31st for this fiscal, maybe it'll have a weaker holiday, maybe it'll have a weaker Q4 in the early months of 2024. But right now, just looking at the data we have at present, there is nothing that would make you think, wow, Nintendo needs to release a new console. I understand that we want a new Nintendo console. I understand we want that restart, right? Because when a new console comes out, not only is that exciting because it's new hardware and more powerful hardware, so the games will look better, but also for Nintendo fans, that means a reset point where we can get a new Mario Kart, a new Smash Bros, a new Animal Crossing, all of that stuff, right? I understand that we really want that. And I understand that based on past Nintendo console life cycles, we are due for that announcement based just on how long those consoles have survived. However, the circumstances are very different right now, where Nintendo is in a better spot now in the console's 7th year than it was in its 6th. That's crazy. If hardware sales are doing better than they were the previous year, if first-party software sales are higher than they were the previous year, and if third-party sales, while yes, a little bit decline over previous years, but still doing very well, if all of these things are doing very well, if the Mario movie's doing very well, and Super Nintendo World's doing very well, and profits are up across the board, why would Nintendo release a new console right now? I just think it's time we finally look at what Furukawa's telling the audience, us, the Nintendo fans, and investors, and just take what he's saying at face value, because he has not led us astray. Everything that he has said has ended up being true so far. Back in 2022, when he said the Switch was halfway through its life cycle, this may remain to be seen a little bit, but I would say even if the Switch 2 does come out in 2025, the Switch 1 will certainly still get software until 2027, which would definitely make it, like, that's the halfway point. But even back then, in 2022, I mean, I was getting clowned on for thinking the Switch 2 when it came out in 2023. Kinda crazy, guys. You gotta read the room a little bit. Now, there is one last slide I want to take a look at here from their investor kind of earnings slides here. It says, future outlook. Nintendo Switch will enter its 8th year. New titles will continue to be released. Maintain and expand user engagement with Nintendo Switch. Maintaining business momentum. And then these bullet points at the bottom here are very interesting. And I've seen people interpret this in different ways, but to me, it's pretty clear what they're saying. Nintendo Switch will be entering its 8th year in March 2024. We will continue to release new titles and content for Nintendo Switch without being bound by the traditional concept of the platform life cycle. Going forward, we would like to continue to see many consumers play Nintendo Switch and to maintain our business momentum. I mean, that bottom part right there, maintain business momentum, that is them just directly saying, I mean, if you can't read the stats yourself, that is them saying, listen, we're doing really good right now. Not just in hardware, not just in software, but just as a company overall, we're doing very good right now. to the people saying that Nintendo has to release a new console to keep up momentum, you need to look at the stats and understand that the momentum is currently being upheld. Like, there's no denying that. Even if you're disappointed with the software lineup in 2024 so far with Princess Peach and, yes, a bunch of ports, even if you're disappointed in that, currently in 2023, or this fiscal year 2024 for Nintendo, that momentum is being upheld. And we don't know what the full lineup next year looks like. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the next 3D Mario comes to this console. I'm going to be completely honest. I think that's not out of the realm of possibility based on the information that we have. But it's that second bullet point at the bottom there that I really want to focus on. We will continue to release new titles and content for Nintendo Switch without being bound by the traditional concept of the platform lifecycle. Now, I've seen a lot of people reading that and taking it to mean, oh, that just means the Switch 2 is coming out very soon. However, it's going to be backwards compatible. There's going to be cross-gen games. I would maybe agree with that, but to me, I read that and think that the exact opposite. I read that and think, oh, they're letting us know that when they say not being bound by the traditional concept of a platform lifecycle, that's Nintendo pretty much outright saying, yeah, listen, the Switch, in generations past, it would be due for a new console. Not this time. We are going to keep going. We are outside of the traditional concept of what a platform lifecycle means, and we're going to keep going with this one platform for the foreseeable future. That's what that reads like to me. Because this idea of cross-gen games and games that come out to Switch 1 after the Switch 2 release, well, I do think that will happen no matter what when the Switch 2 does end up releasing. That's not really a new thing, considering they did it for 3DS and Switch, but even with DS, there were still some first-party DS games coming out after the 3DS, most notably Pokemon, to be fair. But still, when I read that quote, that to me says, guaranteed the Switch 2 is not coming out in 2024, but even beyond that, I mean, it seems like they really want to just keep going with the Switch, and why wouldn't they? Their momentum is better than ever! Once again, a whole separate video, but I was thinking about it. Metroid Dread, best-selling Metroid game. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, best-selling Kirby game. Splatoon 3, at the time of its release, broke records in Japan for being the fastest-selling video game, period. Only then to later have that record broken by Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which are currently the third best-selling Pokemon games and will soon pass Gold and Silver. Tears of the Kingdom, fastest-selling Zelda game. Pikmin 4, fastest and best-selling Pikmin game. Mario Bros. Wonder, we just learned today, is the fastest-selling Super Mario game. Not just 2D Mario, just the fastest-selling Mario game. That is insane. So when I see people saying, oh, Furukawa's lying, I just question, like, are you looking at the same financial information that I'm looking at? Are you reading the room the same way I am? Because I don't understand how you could look at everything going on with the Switch and think, oh yeah, they need to release a new console. I understand that we want a new console to come out, but I don't know, man. Software, all-time high. Hardware, doing great. In its 7th year, it's selling better than its 6th year. That is crazy. In fact, currently, in its 7th year on the market, the Switch is currently outpacing 2018 and 2019. What the hell? 2019 was like a banner year for the Switch. And it was like right in the peak, right before, really the peak was Animal Crossing, but like that build up to the peak, it's doing better than that. I'm still going to cover Switch 2 rumors because I do enjoy rumor. I enjoyed the entire art of rumors. I'm going to do a video about the Joy-Con theory soon because I think that's hilarious. But when you look at Nintendo's financials, when you look at what the president of Nintendo is saying, I think it's very clear that the messaging they're trying to spread out is that the Switch is staying around for a while, and this is going to be the main platform moving forward. I'm not saying the Switch 2 will never happen, but I think those expecting an announcement or even release in 2024 are going to be sorely disappointed. I know we would all love it. I understand that, but I just don't think it's very likely at all. And there's always those comments of, well, they have to release a new console eventually to keep up momentum. That is true, but once again, like I said, the momentum is already currently being kept up. Like, there's nothing to even suggest a new console right now. Once you see a slight dip in hardware or a slight dip in software, first-party software, that's when you can really think, okay, now it's really time for them to release something new. But right now, first-party Nintendo software is selling better than it ever has. So just keep that in mind next time you see another bogus report from one of these outlets saying that the Switch 2 was shown behind closed doors when it wasn't. Let's just keep it 100 right now. It wasn't. That is going to do it for today's video. Of course, let me know your thoughts on all of this down in the comments below. Do you believe it? Do you not believe it? I would love to hear your thoughts. And of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch reviews, news, coverage, all of that fun stuff. And until next time, folks, peace.